So I love the movie It's a Wonderful Life, and I'm trying to model, my own disposition after George Bailey when he got brought back to life. He ran through town and he said, "Merry Christmas, movie house. Merry Christmas, Emporium. Merry Christmas, you wonderful old building alone." The same building alone that he hated. And then he banged on the window and said, "Hey, Merry Christmas, Mr. Potter." And then he said, "Happy New Year to you in jail." But really, I'm trying to get to that point of, appreciating life to that extent, as if I've been brought back to life and just happy about everything, which really, with over a year of sobriety now, I really am. I'm kind of living the same miserable life I was, or, less than glamorous life, but I am loving it. I'm loving every day. Wonderful thoughts fill my head at all times. Million dreams fill my head, like the Pink song. A related note, speaking of, they showed him what life would be like without him. And I once posted on Facebook that, I realized if I was never born, my grandmother would have had to get a ride to the doctors on, November 12th, 2003. But that was about it. I'd like to think now much more of an impact as I'm doing service in the sobriety community. But anyway, I do really love the concept, and I think I'm getting closer every day. At least, it varies by the day. Some days more so than others, but where I'll just almost, approach anybody, somebody at, a woman at the gym or somebody in the mall, or just, I just feel completely uninhibited, and part of that's mainly because I'm now feeling intoxicated on life. So that's really a goal of mine. I'm thinking about even doing a sobriety musical based on that. Within my community, a woman once said that, a few people talked about slipping, and so she talked about the Slippers Club. So I thought that could be a musical number. But anyway, that brought another thought related that, conducting essentially maybe on my podcast, which I'm now recording. It's not officially released as of this recording, but, with my podcast guests, maybe all of them at the end just say, "Hey, I'm basically going to conduct a Earth exit interview." So we're going to pretend, sadly, that, you got hit by a bus and this is your exit interview, and let's look back at your life. And let's say you unexpectedly did just get hit by a bus. What would you have done differently? And certainly in my case, just in the past month or so, I didn't go. My family was going to a steakhouse for my sister's birthday. Granted, I was supposed to take her and my parents out for lunch also for her birthday within, a few days of that week. I was even supposed to see my parents the next day. But still, I'm sure I absolutely would have said, I should have gone to that instead of staying home and trying to be productive. The very next week, my mother brought her famous chicken, Pepperidge Farm chicken, to my sister's house. I also bailed on that, trying to be productive. So, just a few examples there. Probably one of the biggest ones is going to be travel. I've been to Europe a couple times. It's been a long time. I love it. I vowed to go back. It's funny. I once went there. I solo backpack in 2009. I had a couple $100 left. I didn't even turn the currency in because I thought I was going to go back so soon. Luckily, I held on to it. And thanks to my parents, and I'm going on a European cruise many, many years later, close to 10, and I got to use it. But point is, haven't been to South America, haven't been to Australia, have some friends over there. I absolutely would be livid about that. And part of it's, I'm so used to having economic insecurity from all my years of drinking. But, now being sober for life is priceless. And I feel like a rich man. And that's another quote from It's a Wonderful Life. George's brother does a toast to him as they're raising money to save his business. And he says, "Here's to my brother, the richest man in town." And I love that. So that would be a regret as well. I'm sure amongst, many other things we'd all have, why did I worry about this, worry about that? Granted, as I've gotten more feelers in sobriety, I don't worry about as much. And I do a lot of the brave things I didn't used to do. We just had a call about that. I might even do a video on that. It just takes 20 seconds of bravery can change your life. And I'm doing more of that, but there's still times. And think about it. If you got brought back to life, you would be fearless. You wouldn't worry about anything. So I love that concept. Think about it, and I'm going to roll with it on my podcast. Stay tuned. That'll do it. As always, please like, share, subscribe, and remember, stronger, sober. Thanks.